Thank you all very much for coming this evening. Peterborough Town Library, you all know this, founded 1833, and it is the oldest tax-supported public library in the world. And we're here this evening to make an improvement on that tax-supported part of that by making tax-deductible donations to Peterborough Library. So just to make sure that it meets the needs of the future as well as it's met the needs of the past. Now Peterborough has become a forward, as you can tell from what Corrine had to say, it's a forward-looking town. Wasn't always such a forward-looking. I mean, it used to be always looking forward to the end of black fly season. It comes about the time Cunningham Pond ice is over. But times have changed. Peterborough has become a modern place, and I know about this because I moved up here. I moved up here from the city 40 years ago, when things were very different, when our town really was like our town, and everybody knew everything about you. I mean, I'd be on the phone making a long-distance call, and I would say to the local operator, I'm having trouble getting through to my mother in Florida, and she would say, you really ought to call her more often. And you haven't written her a real letter since Christmas. Or I'd be shopping at Derby's. Some of you older residents of Peterborough may remember Derby's, a department store over by the old train station, which is now 12 Pine. And you'd be shopping in Derby's, and the sales clerk, who I'd never seen before in my life, would say, that's not the kind of undershirt you usually wear. It was creepy. It took me a while to get used to rural Yankee ways. I'd lived in New York. I was used to banging on the pipe in my apartment when I wanted more heat in the middle of the night. I found out that didn't work very well with my wood stove. I didn't understand about municipal services. I was putting trash out at the end of my driveway for like 3 months before I noticed 3 months worth of trash at the end of my driveway. I had no idea about the dump, Plus food. If you had given a bagel to a resident of Peterborough 40 years ago, he would have said, worst donut I ever had. But we're a modern place now, and as befits a modern place, we need a modern library. We need the best possible library. And this happens to be a subject that is very close to my heart. Public libraries have had an enormous influence on my life, and not particularly because I'm a writer. That's not really what it was about. I grew up in Toledo, Ohio. And Toledo, Ohio, in the 1950s, it was kind of a rough industrial town. And I was not a happy kid. My mom was sick. My stepdad was a drunk. The house was a mess. And I was working on becoming a juvenile delinquent, of the smaller, more cowardly type of juvenile delinquent. I was leading a stupid life, except on Saturdays. On Saturdays, I would go downtown to Toledo's, had this wonderful old WPA library building that had been like handcrafted in the 1930s. That was the main branch of the Toledo Public Library. And I used to go there because of the books, of course. The fact that I liked books was about my only redeeming feature at that stage of my life. But the library was more than books to me. It was beautiful. It was orderly. It was a dignified place where life wasn't stupid. And I wasn't treated as if I were stupid, even though I was pretty stupid at the time. And I'm betting that the same thing goes on right here in the Monadnock region today, That and any kid who is on the wrong track can go to our library and look around and think to himself the way I thought to myself back in the 1950s, I'll bet prison libraries aren't nearly as nice. But of course, libraries are also important to me because I am a journalist of a kind, anyway. way. And you know, as speedy and full of info as a personal computer as it is, I still need a library. I still need a library because journalism, even the kind of silly journalism that I do, is impossible without libraries. I mean, good journalism is grounded in what libraries represent. And for that matter, is the kind of journalism that I do, not just the good journalism. And what libraries represent is the systematic knowledge and understanding of material and intellectual history. I know I said a mouthful there. I am batting above my weight when I say things like that. But it's important to realize how important libraries are. Libraries face challenges now, not just the usual challenge of funding and infrastructure and so on, but I mean, libraries are in peril. Will libraries survive the internet? And I say they must, and they will, then they have to. Now, as Corrine was just discussing, our library provides internet connection, but almost everybody has that at home now, or indeed right in their pocket, like I do, you know. A good library provides something else entirely. I mean, libraries are not just repositories of things we know. They are repositories of how we know those things. I mean, collected in the Peterborough Town Library is all the thinking of the past, and the present, carefully organized to promote wisdom, learning, and sense. Now, wisdom, learning, and sense, those things are important in times like these. I mean, times like these when we don't know whether what we know is what we do know or what we don't know. I mean, times like this when we're confused, times when we go on the internet and we learn, oh my God, the things we learn. And the things we wish we could unlearn, you know? I mean, I put it in a limerick. The public is having a fit due to competition of wit between MSNBC, White House, and Fox TV over who is most full of wisdom, learning, and sense. That's what a library is, and that's what the internet is not, you know. Internet contains a lot of information. It also contains a lot of other stuff, and much of that stuff is useless. Some of that stuff is disgusting, and all of that stuff is in a senseless jumble. You know, the library is a catalog of knowledge. The internet is a landfill. Library, think stacks and Dewey Decimal System. Internet, think dumps and recycling bins. You know? A library is a recipe. 1 cup of sugar, half a cup of butter, 2 eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1.5 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons baking powder, half a cup of milk, cream, sugar, and butter, beaten in eggs, stir in vanilla, combine flour and baking powder and mix well, stirring milk until batter is smooth, bake for 35 minutes. The internet bakes a cake by throwing all those ingredients on the floor and heating the kitchen to 350 degrees. You know, I have limited use for the internet, you know. I don't blog, I don't tweet, you know. If I want to know what some like grouchy old guy sitting around in his boxer shorts just thinking over his cup of coffee in the morning, I'd ask myself. Yeah, the computer is very handy. It's a handy device. It's terrific for looking up who played Wally Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver, you know. But the computer is essentially meaningless to wisdom, learning, and sense. And my laptop may be a great technological improvement on my old IBM Selectric. Wally was played by Tony Dow. I looked that up a moment ago on my smartphone. But there is no historical indication that technological improvements in the way we inscribe our ideas lead to improvement in the wisdom, learning, and sense of the ideas themselves. In fact, I would make an opposite case. When words had to be carved in stone, when words had to be carved in stone, we got the 10 Commandments. When we had to make our own ink and chase a goose around the yard, you know, to get a quill, we got William Shakespeare. When the fountain pen was invented, we got Henry James. When the typewriter came along, we got Jack Kerouac. And with the computer, we get go Google yourself. So, let us raise a glass and make a donation to the Peterborough Town Library with its name carved in stone right over the main entrance door. Thank you all.